Learn to do movie talk in 20 minutes. I have devised these short how-to videos to support language teachers who teach for proficiency. With this 20-minute video, I want you to be able to have a new technique in your toolbox. 20 minutes isn't long, so let's get started. The parts of this talk are as follows: the technique, benefits of movie talk, demonstration, choosing a video, extension activities. What will you be able to do at the end of this presentation? You will be able to scaffold a short, engaging video for your students by using the movie talk method, select compelling film shorts, depending on the work of other teachers, provide students with enough activities using communication around the story in the film to write a 2-day lesson plan for each 3 to 5 minute film short. Let's keep the end in mind. How do we teach students to learn a language for proficiency? We try to get them to negotiate a message that is meaningful and gives them motivation to speak within a specific context. In the last 15 years, our profession has started relying on the compelling media of film shorts and other videos. The profession has known for a while the power of stories. Film shorts are stories like picture books and novels in a different format. Movie talk is a method to get teachers and students communicating about these stories. Students are intrigued by captivating video, and through this technique, I can make 3 minutes of video comprehensible to students. Because I like this method so much, I will tell you how to find videos along with tools to use them. I will teach you the technique of movie talk, and I'll give you extension activities to make the most of it. This technique is the work of Dr. Ashley Hastings and was used with full-length films in English language learning classrooms. Michelle Whaley, a Russian teacher in Anchorage, incorporated movie talk into her teaching and shared the method with world language teachers. My own initial understanding of how to use movie talk has come from reading a blog by Martina Bex, a Spanish teacher who is well known in teacher education and calls her site Comprehensible Classroom. Martina's blog includes a video of her using the technique, and it is the fundamental training that everyone will point you to. Watching a video of a teacher instruct a class is always helpful. I learned further ideas on this topic from a training session in my district with Eric Herman of Acquisition Classroom. We will talk more about what he has to say later. First, let me introduce myself briefly. I'm a 20-year educator who taught with engaging methods based on research. My current interest is to provide excellent PD for teachers. I want to share this knowledge that I've gotten from experience to make teaching easier for you and more effective. This is a hobby and a passion for me. Let's start right away with the technique, because I think you will quickly be convinced to add this to your repertoire alongside what you already do, or to incorporate it more often into your instruction if you're already using it, because it is really straightforward and easy. I'm going to demonstrate the lesson by telling some of the story from the video, The Graveyard Shift. Keep in mind that I'm trying to create opportunities for comprehensible input and communication by creating communicative context through stories. And also remember that this is my version offered to you to take what you want and make as many changes as necessary to suit your style. Movie talk is a technique where you narrate what happens in a short video by commenting on still photos from the video. So here's the most important part of my presentation. I finally get to explain the method. To better understand it, picture a teacher at the front of the classroom. She has one image at a time on the board. The picture is full of rich detail as it is linked to the pictures she will present before and after it, and it tells a story. The teacher uses comprehensible input techniques to narrate in her own words what she has chosen to teach using the image. She can point to different parts of the picture, use vocabulary that the students already know to explain new words and phrases, and can ask students questions about what they see in the picture. It's very exciting. In an article on movie talk in the International Journal of Foreign Language Teaching, Eric Herman explains that a teacher uses the rich images of a video to narrate a story in their own words, And with the use of images in the context of a story, the language is easier to understand. As such, the student's acquisition of the language moves along significantly faster. As I said earlier, a video offers new content to discuss in language class, taking the responsibility off the teacher to create context for comprehensible input and communication. If you choose correctly, the video will be compelling and hold the student's attention. More importantly, the images in the video offer rich visuals to illustrate the teacher talk and support student comprehension. A teacher can point to these and use them as examples for repetition of the target language. This is the genius of movie talk. It is easiest to think of movie talk as telling the story with TPRS, if you have done that before. If not, you will quickly get the hang of it through my step-by-step explanation. Like in TPRS, decide on the words and phrases you would like to teach. You can show the students the translations of these words to be certain that the student has the right word in mind. My colleagues and I act out, show pictures of, draw, give examples of, and talk about the vocabulary, then check in with the students to see what they have understood. Again, like in TPRS, do not overload vocabulary in your stories. I pick 4 to 6 new phrases, and teaching for comprehensible input tends to do 1 to 3. When teaching thematic units, the vocabulary you select as your target can be from the theme that you are teaching. Movie talk can be a great hook for a new unit and a way to provide comprehensible input and a context for communicating using this vocabulary, and then the other activities you choose to do over the course of the unit will repeat the target language. To begin, you have a choice. You can get right into your movie talk, or you can first read a version you write of the story to your students. For my novice students, I read text off the slides because I like for them to see the pictures that illustrate the sentences, and for my intermediate students, I give them a handout to read. Having students read the story first before proceeding gives them vocabulary for the next step. As you write your version of the story from the video, don't shy away from complex grammatical structures or rich and interesting language. While you concentrate on repetition of the targeted vocabulary you're presenting, the other language that you include may serve as models for writing to your students with a better command of the language. On these slides, you will see stills from the story called The Graveyard Shift. This is a resource from Ryan Whitney that you can access on IFProf. I will discuss the resource on that platform in greater depth later, and there are links to it for you as well. Once you read the story, if you're going to do that, then you enter into the narration phase. Well, the story that I read off the slides had just what was happening in that one picture. In the narration phase, I will give the students many details from each picture, concentrate on using language that they know and adding in the targeted vocabulary. TPRS has modeled a way to generate communication and repetition around a story by circling. I'm going to model this for you now, pretending that the students are answering my questions as I go. It is a dark, cold night, and there are no customers in the cafe. Look, there are tables and chairs in the cafe and a counter. The door opens. Class, where does this story take place? In a cafe or a school? Oh, a cafe. The story takes place in a cafe. Which one, Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts? Oh, Starbucks. It is a dark, cold night, and there are no customers in Starbucks. There are tables and chairs in the cafe and a counter. The door opens. Who is entering the cafe? Is it your science teacher or a zombie? Oh, a zombie. Is he running or walking? Okay, walking. Is he fast? No? Slowly, a zombie walks into the cafe. He enters the cafe. There's a girl working in the cafe. She has brown curly hair and is wearing a blue and purple t-shirt. She is so scared that she is hiding. Who works in the cafe? Is it a boy? Okay, a girl. How is she doing? Is she happy or scared? Oh, scared. It is a dark, cold night, and there are no customers in Starbucks. There are tables and chairs in the cafe and a counter. The door opens. Slowly, a zombie enters the cafe. There's a girl working in the cafe. She has brown curly hair and she is wearing a purple and blue t-shirt. She is so scared she is hiding. In this way, the teacher develops a story, repeating targeted language structures multiple times and using communication by asking questions. As I narrate the story, the students are introduced to new vocabulary for the unit. Every few slides, I go back and tell the story from the beginning leading up to where we are. I use yes, no questions and either or questions when I am using new vocabulary. Remember that it is not important to tell everything that happens in the video. You want to direct what is said toward your target structures. Bring out the part of the story of the video that lends itself to the language you want students to hear. Every educator who teaches about this technique will tell you to make sure to go slowly as you tell the story in partnership with your students. Yet, don't get too bogged down. Make the pace lively enough to keep their interest. And stop before you get to the twist, if there is one, and ask students to predict what happens next. My class makes up silly possibilities of what the end is going to be. My colleagues and I tried to make speaking the target language feel as safe as possible for students and to give students more chances to communicate than they get in the large group setting. I have them do a partner turn and talk, which means to turn to their neighbor and discuss. Back in the large group, I can ask students to share what they or their partner predicted, all in the target language, of course. One option for the next day is that students can write the story for homework, adding new details or a new ending. Then, the next day, the students get into groups and read their partner's stories and decide on the best one to present to the class. The group tells that person's story, and the rest of the class points out the differences between that version and the one depicted in the video. Yet another approach is to have a stronger student write the story as we go. It is great for them, and then it gives the teacher a reason to keep retelling as they check in to make sure the student got it. Then after, the teacher can go through the student's version and clean it up and prepare it as a reading for the next day. Show the video. The video, if you have chosen well, will hold the students' interest and they will have something to say about it. Remember to remind the students, as I am sure you do instinctively, not to share their reactions in English. You can brainstorm some possible sentence starters about how to react before showing the clip in order to scaffold for your students. You can then call on students to say what surprised them in the video or what they thought of the video in the target language. To reinforce the new vocabulary, I sometimes have my novice students match the pictures with the sentences describing them. Matching activities are reading activities that are so very accessible. I first learned about these from Lisa Shepard of the blog called Madame's Musings. She trains other teachers, and if you're interested in showing your French students short clips from cartoons, she has matching activities for them on her site. With intermediate students, we go back to the slides and retell the story with pictures, this time without the text on the slides. Again, I have students talk to their partner so that everyone has more chances to speak. Another possibility is to set the slides to advance automatically, and students take turns to tell the story as the slides advance. If you put 6 screenshots on a slide, like this, and put letters next to each one, you can have students do a guessing game. One student describes a picture, and the other guesses which one it is. I want to stop here to say something about the order of the steps. Sometimes I do the order presented here, and that works just fine. But seeing that I teach students over 3 years, and I like to do a movie talk for each unit we do, I think it would get boring to always do the same steps in the same order. As you take this technique and make it your own, apply it to specific videos. When you make it your own and apply it to specific videos, you will use particular steps, omitting others, and change the order each time to suit your instruction. I want to share with you other examples of compelling videos, many of which are silent shorts, so they're useful in any language. These are great finds that I have seen teachers share with each other, and so I offer them to you as a starting point. Note that if you don't have a silent short, that of course you can always turn the sound off, regardless of the language. Once you have seen a few of these examples, you will understand what makes a compelling short that lends itself well to the technique, and you will have an easier time finding videos for your classroom. As promised, I will still tell you where to and how to find great videos, but these are good ones to start with to get you going right away without sinking time into a search, because while film shorts can be excellent tools, you usually have to watch many before you find the right one, and that takes a lot of time. 3 to 5 minutes is about the right length. It is long enough for an intriguing story, which is complex enough to hold students' attention. Longer would incorporate too much language for the teacher to paraphrase a story. Consider, in addition to shorter films, commercials. You can usually find longer ones on the company's website, public service announcements, and clips from full-length movies. These videos have the following in common. They are short, silent films with a twist that are compelling. Let me start by showing you Pip, which I found on IFProf from Holly William. Pip is the story of a dog who wants to be a guide dog, but has trouble during the training. The video was made to promote a guide dog training organization and can be part of a discussion on understanding disabilities. Let me also introduce to you The Present, which I found on IFProf as well. It's from Cécile Lenné. And it is the story of a boy and a dog. And the boy is pretty annoyed because the dog does not have a leg. The dog eventually wins the boy over, and in the end, the viewer discovers that the boy has a physical limitation too. The happy ending is to see the boy leave his video games and go outside to play with the dog, using crutches because he too is missing part of his leg. I've made a folder for you of these and other resources, and I'll give you the shortened URL at the end. When you first get started with Movie Talk, it helps to use the videos and resources that more experienced teachers have found. It saves you a lot of time, and you can get right to using them in the classroom. IFProf is a platform for sharing French educational resources, and there is a group on Movie Talks, and it has linked videos and other resources, like the slides. You will have to sign in for free to access it. I especially like videos that I found on IFProf, and I'm now using them, so you'll notice that I've left a few for others to use. I always consider giving back to others by sharing. The last resource that I want to tell you about is the Movie Talk database. This is a resource where teachers have put down some of their favorite videos. They've also linked some resources, and I will give you the shortened URL to that at the end. It is really such a rich resource. I have been enjoying the mileage that I get out of one short video. On occasion, students watch the video and answer questions on Edpuzzle. Sometimes I take the script and make a sequencing activity. Or, when listening to the story being read before doing the movie talk, students could also be asked to draw the story as they listen to the teacher read the script. I have found a few different engaging ways to have students go back over the story and retell it. An important aspect of movie talk is repetition of the structures the teacher introduces at the beginning. Retelling is an essential step to maximize the repetition. My favorite 3 extension activities for retelling are as follows. The first one is a group retell. Have students do a group retell of the story with each person adding a detail. To make it challenging and more collaborative, I tell the students that the story finishes before we make it to the last person. Then we will start over again until we draw the story out enough that everyone can add one detail. The second is to retell in pairs. Have students pair up. Each student retells the story to their partner in 2 minutes, timed by the teacher. Then students find a new partner and retell the story, each one taking a turn, this time in 30 seconds. And the third is called a blind retell. It is where you project the story text on the board. One student has their back to the board and retells the story. The other student is the coach who listens and helps out as the other student needs it. The student looking at the board uses the full text as support in order to help their partner. Activities that check for comprehension are another category of activity. One possibility is for the teacher to make a statement and have students put their thumbs up or down to show whether the statement is true or false. A different activity is the pencil game. Students sit across from their partner. The teacher makes a statement about the story. The student does nothing if the statement is false. If it is true, they both grab for the pencil. The one who gets the pencil gets a point. If the student grabs the pencil and the statement is false, they lose a point. Students can write the statements for homework the night before. So this is where I end. This slide brings me to you and your next step. Think about a goal for implementing part of what you heard today. What piece of this do you think that you could do? On this slide, you will see the resources that I've gathered for you. The first is a folder of resources that I put together to get you started. Thanks for watching today. I hope this has been helpful. I will be sharing about leveraging the circle in instruction in my next video. I hope to see you then.